I'm Dan Giurescu, founder of TerraHub.
In your view, and it's interesting because you too, just like me, have a sort of a foreign perspective, what are some of Canada's competitive advantages when it comes to attracting foreign investors?
Talent number one, resilience, I would say is number two. This country is not short of always wanting to look forward to how do you just keep moving forward, keep growing, and keep attracting new people and new talent to come in, and ultimately new money to want to be a part of the business. So to me, I think those two are really critical.
So looking at Calgary and the region more specifically, what would you say are some of the benefits for businesses, particularly foreign, of setting up shop in the city? And what is the cost and ease of doing business in Calgary like?
It's a very good question. So I would say, one key thing about Calgary is when you look at the nature, when you look at the people, when you look at the legacy businesses that have been built, it's very centralized. So business and business sectors are very centralized. So you exactly know the pockets you're about to go into and the business you're about to run and play with. There's obviously a significant amount of space that's available from both a housing perspective, whether you choose to live in a tower, whether you choose to live in a house, but also from a business perspective. And the space is really catered to kind of your likes and your needs. You want to be super tech, super fun kind of environment. You've got those ready to be rented out or to have you as a tenant. And then there's those that are very corporate, that are very, mahogany desk and chair look and feel. But for Calgary, it's an incredible place to do business. People are open; they're very transparent. You've got the definition of a handshake deal is still very much alive. Being able to go in and talk to somebody, and I'm literally speaking from experience because this happened to me just last week, where we made a handshake deal on how we're going to move forward through a process, and within the next week, all the documents were completed, but. Everybody knew that once they got into it, that's what they were going to get, and that's what everybody walked out with. So it's an incredible city to be in, and I grew up in Toronto, so Calgary gives you a different pace of life as well. So that work-life balance is quite incredible.
What would you say to someone who doesn't know Calgary, who says, it's just a cowboy oil town?
Oh my God, we are so much more than that. If you look in our 10 square blocks downtown, when you see the majority of the energy companies being down there, that's the energy sector, right? And I still believe that it holds the highest number of head offices per square block, fundamentally, in Canada. And what was really neat is Calgary is very diverse. I mean, everything from tech businesses to textile businesses to ag business to food manufacturing. It's a very diverse town. So just because people know us for the energy space, it really speaks to a large percentage, but a percentage to where we are. And the amount of tech companies that have come out of the city over the last 20, 30 years has been actually outstanding. And the amount of patents in technology that have come out of the city are really outstanding. Everything from the USB to the original builder and developer of the X-ray machine for your legs and your chest and everything else. So we've been very innovative, and not to forget about medicine. Medicine is a huge kick coming out of Calgary in that space. So we're not a one-trick pony. We're not just a town that has the energy space. When we cowboy, we really talk about the fact that we go out and we just get things done because they just have to be done. and we're not shy of hard work and the many hours it takes to put in that hard work. And I was left with this expression years ago from a mentor that said, "The harder I work, the luckier I get." So, that's kind of the mentality that you're walking into.
I do notice, by the way, that out of the innovations that you mentioned, you forgot to mention the Caesar.
Yes, that is correct. On 4th Avenue downtown Calgary, you do have the invention of the Caesar, and many have taken claim for it. But the original is at Caesar's in the Caesar Steakhouse at Calgary.
Could you talk a little bit about the, let's say, the drive for Alberta and therefore Calgary to diversify, and also the kind of supports that are available to those innovative entrepreneurs?
I'll start off with the last word, which is entrepreneur. Alberta is very, very entrepreneurial. As a city, like Calgary as a city and Alberta as a province is very entrepreneurial. It is built on the back of entrepreneurs, right? Those that were willing to risk it all and try and do something successful, and those that ultimately succeeded, right? And those that ultimately succeeded have put a lot of money and time back into the local economy through many different ways, from charities to initiation of new programs and so on and so forth. But from an innovation perspective, I think a great thing that happened to Calgary was creative destruction labs coming to Calgary and opening up the Rockies group and showcasing that we do have entrepreneurship across many different areas, not just energy as a focus, but it spurred a bit more of a, hey, we should do something different here in the city, and show that we have the capacity to invest back in the city as well. So I'm a big fan. I do think entrepreneurship is very healthy and very well alive within the city. I think that tech entrepreneurship is now starting to see some new momentum with some of the grants that have been pushed forward, and big groups, right? Like the Alberta 100, and as I mentioned, CDL and Haskayne and other groups that are going out and cherishing what they've all learned and bringing it to the forefront and getting other institutes on board to join that journey. So it's again, we're showing that it's about the teamwork, it's about the city, it's about revitalizing it. It's not an easy thing to do. It's I think it's a 10-year journey. Right, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a multi-year journey, but it's setting the right precedents at this point in time that walks us through how we're going to get there in those next 10 years.
Can you think of specific benefits, incentives, or other tax credits or otherwise that are incentivizing companies to set up shop in Calgary?
One of the credits is access to some of the talent that you need. It's not going to be at the prices that you'll pay in Toronto, right? Like your dollar per hours and such. So I think when we look at incentives, it's not just looking at, am I going to get a rebate back? It's about, do I have access to something that's cheaper here and as good or better than somewhere else, fundamentally? Right. So if I look at my business and I look at a balance sheet and I'm saying, well, if my rent, if my cost of living, if my cost of acquisition, if my cost of employment is cheaper and better, or just as good or on par as somewhere else, then that's a massive incentive on its own, right? Because my dollar from my investor will go that much further than somewhere else. Programs are programs. We can always go out and create more programs, but it's having access to those key components that we can use and depend on, and we can put on our balance sheet and stay strong in front of the investor and say, yeah, no, I'm going to have this kind of a burn and this kind of a spend, but if I would have done it here, it would have cost me this much more.
Can you talk a little bit about that really cutting edge side of the tech ecosystem, and also what does it do to attracting foreign investors? I mean, surely having that ecosystem in and of itself creates attractiveness, right?
The ecosystem here is thriving in a few different areas. So we're seeing mixed reality, so augmented reality, virtual reality, taking shape in the city with some now courses starting to being offered at different post secondaries, which is incredible. Obviously, you've touched on Amy and the work that's being done from an institute perspective and leading the way of the thinkers, and with Google and DeepMind and other groups in Edmonton, they're really pushing forward, and then guys like Corey Jensen, that are pushing super hard on ML, and fairly so. It's an up and coming technology that's been proven, that's ready to be deployed, and it's going to make an impact and a difference in a business's day-to-day operations. And lastly, you talked about Kolea and the work she's doing in blockchain, and even us as a tech company, as TerraHub, where we've been focused on private blockchain for the last 4 years, when it was still young, when it was still considered bleeding edge, and now it's going towards leading edge technology, is finally recognized by Gartner that it's okay to deploy and to use. But we're also seeing actually a lot of support from the government of Canada and other groups that are recognizing that the talent of blockchain and artificial intelligence doesn't exist just in the metropolitans of the Torontos, the Vancouvers, the Montreals and Quebecs, and a lot of great companies have been selected now by the Canadian government to work on multiple projects that are distributed ledger based technology projects, and even Seattle, our neighbor next door, has gone in and recruited a bunch of us for one of the blockchain accelerators that came out of the West Coast. So it's so we are up and coming as tech companies. We are leading edge and bleeding edge in certain cases, and we also have a big gaming industry where we're doing some really amazing things, right, that people don't talk about or don't really know. So we've always been really at the forefront of this tech and deploying it. And a lot of the times it makes itself in a global space. Like, I think, I don't know if I mentioned this to you earlier, but we just launched with a company. Tiny TerraHub out of Calgary launches with a global organization where we're now in 30 countries and 60 offices, and we did it all in under 3 weeks. And they saw the value for it, and they didn't care that we were in Calgary. They didn't care that we were in New York. They just cared that we brought good tech to the table that they could deploy. So a lot of these stories exist in Calgary, and we're all just very kind of running underground a little bit. And but once we pop up, and we're there to stay.
What do you see on the horizon for Calgary's economy, and what gets you excited and hopeful?
I believe so much in the city. I believe that the city has, again, just because of the grit and the resilience to get up and just keep doing it and do something different to grow itself and to grow the younger generation that's up and coming. So I think the city's got an incredible amount to offer. And what is the future of the city? It's going to be a big blend. Fundamentally, it's going to be a big blend of those that have been here, done it before, sharing their knowledge, sharing their background, sharing some of their capital, success capital, by investing it and reinvesting it back into the city and into new companies. And I know it's true because I'm literally just we're about a week away from closing our financing round, and we've done it pretty much all. I'd say 99% of it was done out of Calgary and out of Saskatchewan. So we know that there's capacity and there's a value here that everybody can bring to the table and do. And from a future state, the city will be another booming city. We're on the verge of going through hard times, obviously, but everybody's willing to change, and everybody's willing to adapt, and everybody's willing to look to the path of a new light. And kudos to CED and the push and the resilience and the marketing and the messaging that's going out. And I'm so proud to see that coming out of our city, because it's in times like this, others could sit back and say, "Oh, there's nothing we can do." And but here we're always looking for the future. We're looking for how are we all going to get there, and how do we, brother in arms.